Jason, people often describe self-driving cars as a brain on wheels, and I know you've called Flyby Robotics, a flying brain. Tell us what that means and what Flyby is really building.
We started Flyby Robotics mostly from this intuition that intelligent behavior is a direct downstream effect for the ability of a system to do math really fast in any given second. And I think around 2022, 2023, we can see the trajectory that increasingly we have these advancements in machine learning, we have these advancements in AI methods and techniques, we have these breakthroughs. But when I looked around and I see like, where can we actually run these breakthroughs, as a physical form, it's actually really limiting, right? Your phone doesn't have all that much processing power. Your car now is getting more processing power, but most cars in the world don't have really good processing power. You can run them in these servers, isolated, closed. They can't really, they can't actuate. Like a server cannot pick up an object, right? And for me, I was a person, I was building drone stuff when I was a senior in college, and I realized this is one of the most useful form factor of actuation ever conceived by mankind. We should put incredible amount of compute power for these things to be able to do math really, really quickly on these flying machines as the first step, like being able to put incredible amount of computational power on these drones so they can fly and do a lot of compute per second. But two, build it in such a way so that it is accessible. It's not like this is not something that only the military have access to. This is not something that only certain select companies have access to. Any customer, as long as you're not a nefarious state actor, can purchase a Flyby Robotics drone and make your own AI stuff come true. You can embody your own AI and your own AI applications on this drone. And what we have proven over the past past year, especially this month, because it was a really hot month for us, is that people are responding. People are buying these drones and not just using them for traditional drone-based applications, which there are many, but are actually using them to deploy on new applications, doing new things that previous drones couldn't do before. And that's what makes it really exciting, doing Flyby Robotics stuff.
Talk to me about the decision to build that open platform to make these drones modifiable.
Yeah. So a lot of it's from my own frustration. So when I was a senior in college, I was like, okay, building drones is really hard. I know how hard building drones are. It's really, really difficult actually to build drones that are reliable and fly super well and really stable and do high winds and in a cost-effective way. So I was like, okay, I want to do ML stuff on drones. What are my options? I could try to buy a drone from DJI, but they have really limited compute power, and DJI they're like Apple. It's extremely verticalized, closed from a software perspective. Like the amount of changes I can make to the aircraft is really limited. And my second option was like, okay, maybe there's somebody out there building drones that I can purchase. And at the time, one of the early investors in my company, at the time we were doing drone delivery, was Naval Revican, and he was an early investor in Anduril. So poor Jason emailed Naval. It's like, hey, can you email the CEO of Anduril for me so I can buy like an Anduril Ghost? And Brian actually, the CEO he actually responded to Naval, and he was like, no, that is not something we're ever going to let people do. So I'm like, okay, that kind of sucks. I want a drone that's really good that I can fly and program, and it's a performance drone that can lift the payload that I want, that can have the flight time that I like, that's really good, that's compact, it's portable, that's a polished product that I can just buy and just focus on making the machine learning stuff on board the aircraft. And I couldn't find one. So I was like, you know what? I will build one with a team of people. And that's what we did. It was from a point of frustration that like, I wish we could do this, but we couldn't. And it was so difficult. And it's sad that this thing doesn't exist. So we're like, let's grab a group of really good friends, good engineers together, and let's build this thing ourselves. And we're going to make it the way we like to make it, which is like, it's highly performance, a really good performance, a really high flight time, really great payload capacity, really high portability, made with good production volume. In fact, we actually just got our first GmbH customer. So they're Germans. Germans buying American stuff. That means your stuff is good. And it's open, and then people can get it, and they can manipulate it with really deep controls. And that is something that I wish existed in the world 5 years ago. But now it does through Flyby Robotics.
What's the most mind-bending or impressive thing that developers have already built on top of your platform?
Yes, there was one developer who he's pretty good. Yeah, he was previously the CEO of Virgin Hyperloop. And within 2 months of receiving our drone, this drone took 2.5 years to build, but with him within 2 months of receiving the drone, was able to use that drone to control a swarm of smaller Group 1 FPV-sized aircraft, and have the onboard GPU inside the F-11 to control the swarm, like actually change the behavior of the swarm and fly it through the F-11 instead of humans, and instead of running prescriptive mission, is to be able to react to situational inputs. So you can kind of think of the F-11 as using kind of like a mothership. We build our drones with mesh radios, so you can talk to other robotic systems. And they were using the mesh radios to talk with other drones and command other drones as a mini swarm of 6. And they was able to do that in 2 months. It's like, I think that's what makes this product extraordinary. It's just like, it takes us 2.5 years to build a drone, but we bring it out there, and then other developers within like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, we hope one day to be cut down to weeks, build new applications and deploy new applications where it's not been done before. And of course, the military application of having a drone like this be able to fly six. Goodness, it's not 2, it's not 3, it's 6 drones. It's really incredible. So that's one of the coolest. Some of the public customers that we have, for example, Palantir is doing a lot of really cool stuff on our system, along with a lot of research universities as well, and other startups like PicoGrid. They're trying to build our drone in such a way to fly like almost like you play with things in StarCraft. So you can just mouse a keyboard and drag, and you can send stuff to missions. Super awesome. So there's all these people building like really cool stuff on board the F-11 system. So I'm really proud of that.
Shout out to Zane over at PicoGrid. I think your F-11 drone has 157 trillion operations per second. Is that correct?
It's got to be 300. It's going to be more than 300. Because we're going to put a second ore in it. We realize we actually have the power capacity, and people are asking us because they want one ore to do dedicated machine learning tasks and have the other one to be more flexible. So it will soon be able to even support 300 trillion operation per second of onboard processing power or dual orans onboard the aircraft.
Just put that into layman terms for somebody. How much processing power is that versus like something like a modern iPhone, an iPhone 10 years ago? What's actually possible now that you have all that processing power on this drone?
Yeah. Well, one is that you can start running you can start running pretty complicated object recognition models and classification directly on board the aircraft. You have that Orin, one of your 2 dual Orins to be dedicated into training. It can actually start doing some post tuning for models on edge. So you can actually the drone can start kind of learn. It's still in a limited way. It's not an H100, but it start learning with application that's running inside the aircraft. So you actually tuning it slightly. So that's what we sort of see as like step 1. But what we sort of perceive as step 2 is we can start putting even more powerful GPUs on board our drones. So for example, the F-22, our next generation product, we're aiming to have a AGX store inside, and that you can really do like actual like more legit training on board the aircraft, but also running like straight up large language models on board a drone for developers. So then you can have these drones actually do like start to emulate basic levels of human reasoning. So now, the drones can actually you give it a mission and it can start accomplishing tasks without human pilots inputting everything that the drone does.
Incredible. I think the F-11 carries a 6-pound payload. How much damage or how much utility can that carry?
Oh, massive. So most cameras that are really high resolution are typically around 2 pounds. So you can carry like a it's called a full frame sensor in the photography world. Full frame, the sensor size is full frame. Like you can, that's like a DSLR quality / better on that. There's people who build multi-sensor payloads are really good. So 1 to 80 resolution thermal cameras 2.5 kilometer laser rangefinders for really accurate target designation. Having that payload really helps people to be able to put on, whether that's sensors, lidars, devices. There's people who do stuff in SIGINT, the signal intelligence for the military world. And having that payload allows you to do stuff. You're able to do actuation. And that is what makes us exciting, because in drones, if you don't have the payload capacity, you're kind of limited. You're kind of shackled, constrained creatively. But the more payload capacity we can put on these things, the more creative freedom people have in using the onboard compute in working with sensors and actuation. And what we kind of see where these drones go is, the payloads trade-off is always with flight time and portability. It's because you have much bigger drones, but then it's no longer portable. The F-11 is built in such a way so if you can easily check it on a flight. You can be transported and set up halfway around the world. I was just in a military exercise in Thailand. I just went myself. So imagine, I'm just myself on a plane, flew all the way to Thailand with my drones. It was just one dude. You only need one guy to deploy this thing halfway around the world. And that is kind of what makes it a really, really awesome product, because you don't need in larger drones, you need a truck. You need 3 people to deploy that stuff. And with that, you don't have to worry about that on the F-11 system.
How many times did you get questioned about the drone and your hand luggage? I seem to get, every time I go to an airport these days, I get stopped.
Yeah. Surprisingly, as not as much as you would think. But people kind of look at it and explain, it's a drone, it's a little big, but it flies. Yeah. It's all right. Don't worry about it. It's not going to hurt you.
What's been the hardest part of building a truly American drone?
Oh, everything. The Chinese supply chain is for drones is really good. So I think one challenge with trying to build drones with no parts from China. And by the way, Flyby F-11 has no component level stuff that's coming from China. That means the propellers are from Europe, the motors are from Swiss. It's American carbon fiber. It's the injection molds are done in Detroit. The boards are made in Milpitas. So yeah, this entire supply chain, we don't use any components that's sourced from China. And one is, and the two things challenging. One is Chinese drone components are really high quality. So you have to basically trade off in different areas of your build in order to make up for the slightly lower quality of components from non-Chinese sources. And so that allows a lot of times you also have to build a lot of the stuff yourself, even some really basic stuff yourself, even a motor mount. You got to make it yourself to be able to hit the payload constraints and the rigidity constraints that you have. So you have to build more parts yourself as well. You can't just buy a lot of these components off the shelf as you can if you're building a drone using a Chinese supply chain.
If you could snap your fingers and have one drone component, whether it's batteries, motors, chips, optics, reliably made in America, what would be the biggest game changer for you?
What would be the biggest game changer for us? I think that's the thing about drones, is that it's never one component that changes the game. How good a drone is, it's from a collection of every component throughout the system. So for example, in weight reduction, right? You don't cut a lot of weight from this one part. You cut a small amount of weight across everything in your airframe, and that added up gives you a superior performance. So I literally have a spreadsheet that I have. I marked the weight in grams, 0.1 gram to the tenth of every single thing that's in our aircraft, and we try to subtract 5 grams, 6.5 grams, all these little things, they're added together, and that's what makes your aircraft better. So that's batteries, motors, core print circuit boards. It's everything. That's what China does really well, is that every little bit of a component, their motors are slightly better, their wiring is slightly better, their PCBs are just slightly smaller. But then when you add it all together, oh wow, the drone is two times better or something. So it's a collective that every little piece needs to be a bit better to get extremely good performance. It also amplifies when you put it into a system. It actually amplifies, um, and that's partially what makes stepping away from a Chinese supply chain so difficult. If it's just one component, it won't be hard to step away. It is like all of them combined. That's what makes it difficult. But it's not impossible because we did it. And from a component level standpoint, we don't use any parts from China, and we don't provide a component, a system performance trade-off for the customer by using non-Chinese components. So you still get extremely high performance with our system.
Is there one decision that we can look to that for why China's DJI dominates 70% plus of the global market, or has it just been decades of kind of leadership?
It's decades of leadership. Again, with the drone industry, it's never one thing that makes someone dominate. It's a lot of little things added together. But if you were to say the kind of top couple of things, I think the first I would say is manufacturing volume. China makes over 3 million commercial drones per year, not military, like commercial quality drones per year, 3 million units. That is incredibly high amount of drones. You combine with like the non-commercial stuff, you combine with the military stuff, that is a lot of drones being made. And yeah, they're the factory of the world. Like the 80 to 90% of the world's iPhone is also made in China. And with that scale, they're able to invest more on these upfront things because a lot of the things that makes drones good, batteries, print circuit boards, injection molded airframes, so you don't have to use aluminum, they all have really high upfront costs to do. And when you have high upfront costs, and you'll be able to leverage a more advanced manufacturing method that's also high upfront cost, and you're able to spread that high upfront cost against a larger denominator of units produced, then you get really good results. But the American robotics ecosystem, previously it was largely driven by the military, so guys like AeroVironment, etc. They make like sub 1,000 units a year. So like, that's why they suck. That's why they're expensive and unreliable. Is because you don't make that many per year. So one of the things that's really important is we as the West need to make more things, period. That is how we get good, is we need to make more things. And of course, the way the government cannot control like who makes what, how many things to make. But what they can do is to control how things are purchased. Which is why, a lot of these import-export policies come into play.
Do you think we're on the path to a full-scale manufacturing revolution in America, or does something else need to change? I was at the Reindustrialized conference in Detroit a couple of weeks ago, and there was tons of energy, tons of companies working on different things. Do you think we are now at the start of that path?
I think we are at the start of a really long journey in order to reshore Western and American manufacturing. It's only been 12 months, 24 months since the movement really started to pick up. Reindustrialization takes decades. It takes a long time to build an industrial country and to walk back some of the damage that was done to the Western world. I think that is the entire Western world. And I'm talking about everything from the making of mundane stuff like screws and basic microchips to like the complex stuff like drones and GPUs. But I think it's important. I think people are starting to realize that the idea of, hey, we can just be a financial services economy without making anything doesn't work. You need to make things as an economy, like physically make stuff. Is extremely important for you. But that's where, is a 1,000 steps journey begin with these initial steps. And we are definitely seeing those initial steps happening.
You mentioned swarms earlier, often talked about, often hyped. Where are we with swarms today, and how close are we to, say, swarms overwhelming defenses?
The work is being done. A lot of it is at a secret and a classified level. The thing about the Chinese swarm is that you can see those Chinese light show drones online really
Yes.
easily, but a lot of the things that we're doing with swarms are kept kind of under lock and key, a bit secretive. But we are that is an area that our government is investing heavily on. And if you look at the most recent DoD budgets for 2026 allocation, billions of dollars are being spent on aerial autonomy itself. So it is an area where our government do recognize that it is something that is important for the United States to take a lead in, and that work is happening. Um, Maybe not exactly to swarms, but Flyby Robotics was recently awarded a contract with AFWorks to develop pretty high level like aerial autonomy on board our systems. So yeah, that work is happening.
Just talk me through how that autonomy works. Like, what's the components that make it actually possible? We talked about the GPU and the NVIDIA chip. I believe you have lidar as well. Just talk me through all the technical components of the F11.
Yes. So from a really basic perspective, the F11 is what enabled the F11 to work super well is its onboard compute capability, its onboard mesh radio capabilities, and that those mesh radio could work in. We have different versions of the radios. We developed the payload base, so you can swap different radios in and out. So you have jam resistant radios as well. Um,
Hmm.
and really high onboard compute and really high onboard memory. So we have up to 2 terabyte of onboard solid state storage on board the aircraft. Um, and from a sensor perspective, we designed the system to be really easy to plug different things in. So it's entirely sensor agnostic. So if you need to change the sensor based on the autonomy mission that you have, you can do that really easily. So what that allows you to do is kind of tailor the sensor to your specific autonomy mission. Say I really want something that has really high zoom thermal in particular for a mission because I want to fly this thing 600 feet up. That's something you can do really easily. So those things combined inside the airframe is what allows it to do autonomy super well. And we built these drones to be less than $20,000 a pop versus like $80,000 military Group 2s or even like almost $250,000 helicopter type drones, and basically make it extremely affordable and accessible for people to actually get and use.
Talk to me about the importance of the intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. It's almost like where drones started, and it seems like for the last 2 years in Ukraine and Israel and Iran, we've been hearing about kinetic strike drones. But you guys
Yes.
are you guys are going back to ISR in many ways. Talk to me about how that's going to evolve in this next era.
So intelligent gathering remains one of the most important use cases for an army or a military in general. In a battlefield, it's fog of war. You don't know what your other guys are doing, and previously the way you found out is that you just send dudes out there and look. Even with binoculars. I mean, even right now, a lot of base defense is done that way. And when you do that, one, the human there's limitation of the human eye, right? I can't, you know, there's spectrums that I can't see with my human eye. Like I can't detect radio waves with the human eye. And there is also a dangerous element, which is you're putting dudes, either at the contact line or beyond the contact line. Um, that's where the action is, right? That's where the unknown is, and you're putting guys at risk. So reason why drones are selected because ISR is like such a big part of what you do. It's like when you're playing video games, you always need to scout. Scouting is like one of the most important thing that you do. Similarly, in a military context, having um, having awareness of your battle space is extremely important. Um, and so that's why robotic systems are so focused and that as a focus area to do that.
Um, You mentioned jamming earlier. How do your drones deal with jamming? I met Nathan and the guys from CX2 Industries a while back, and just reading about what's going on in Ukraine, jamming and electronic warfare seems to still be a big issue. So what are you guys doing to counteract that? And then just maybe after that, what do you see as the most potent adversary? Is a kinetic strike something like Allen Control Systems Bulldog? Is it electronic jamming? Is it something else? Lasers maybe.
Yeah, yeah. So I think for jamming, there's two things a operator of a flyby drone could handle jamming. Number one is because we have this like really adaptable payload bay, you can always change the radio as the war
Hmm.
goes on, right?
Right.
So let's suppose at the beginning of the war, your Silvus 5200 is what worked. And then, oh shoot, the enemy has developed new ways to counter the Silvus 5200. We need a Silvus 5200 V3 or whatever. You can swap that radio in pretty easily on our system. Or like, hey, turns out the enemy has figured out ways to defeat the Silvus. Let's put this new trellis radio in instead. So like it well, the way we think about jamming is that jamming is a game of cat and mouse. You have these radios that get developed that gets countered. But if you can make your system super adaptable, then you can always adapt and put in the counter to the enemy's counter. So that's how we designed the F11 to make that basically evolving back and forth really easy on our system. And the second way that our system can deal with jammings, and we have developers that are working on this as well. Some of them are doing it in a way in a classified level that I can't talk about, but is to basically not needing to command a drone within radio at all. So you have sufficient amount of computing power, and you can figure out a way to run the drone's mission, and you can still accomplish, let's say, your ISR task or your strike task with the aircraft. Again, it is 6 pounds of bang. Um,
Yep.
you don't need to communicate with radio to accomplish that task. Then it's like unjammable. There is nothing to jam, right? And jamming is range dependent, right? So when you relay your instruction to the aircraft, you're doing so in a place that jammers are outside of jammers range. But after that instruction has been received by the aircraft and it's on that different mode, it's going after it. So there are people working on that currently, and that is something with the high edge compute. It really just kind of throw the shackles off for these guys. Like you can do whatever you need in order to accomplish your mission. It's like the computing power on board the aircraft is not what's going to be limiting you from doing something like that.
Eric Prince has said drones are the biggest disruption to warfare since Genghis Khan put stirrups on horses. What are some of the second order effects that you think people are still underestimating about just how big of a change drones are to warfare?
I think people haven't actually seen. Let's suppose our government created a attack wave of 30,000 F11s and throw them at a front that is, let's say, 3 kilometers across front, and just saturate that 3 kilometer area with 10, 20, 30,000 F11s. I think people have not sort of even have a mental picture in their mind what that will do to a front line, which is kind of ridiculous, right? Like that's well, at 10,000, 20, 30,000 F11s, you were producing them at such a high rate that we can bring the cost down super substantially. But then you all have really advanced GPU on the board. They can all talk to each other in a mesh way, in a jam resistant mesh way, or they can not talk to each other and just use the GPU on board. And you just throw that at an adversary. And what would that do, right? I think that level, because right now, even now, the employment of drones in these conflict zones, with the exception of really basic terminal autonomy, has been largely driven by human piloting.
Mm-hmm.
But you are limited at the speed of human piloting, and even with like fiber optic stuff, fiber optic drones fly really slow. But when you start to have warfare where the um, the principal combatants can process things much faster than the limitation of the human brain, it's a new style of warfare. you know, it's so I think that's something that can happen now, right? What is stopping our government from doing that, right? Like, or anybody's government from doing that, who has the technology. Like, it's possible. It can be done.
We've all read the reports from Ukraine and Russia and Iran and Israel as well. But as someone who is deep in this industry working on the problems, is there something that you've seen, read about, or otherwise that you think, oh, that's really a game changer?
I think the biggest game changer um, is is like how the idea of like how the idea of the idea of using these cheaper systems, how it changed the dynamic of like warfare from a more strategic level. So
Right.
like I think in the beginning of the war, everybody kind of predicted that Russia is just going to absolutely crush Ukraine. You know, from like an equipment perspective, from a um, manpower perspective, but yet the country's holding. And a lot of that, I think, is from the fact that this is a war of that has a big chunk of the action done by robotic systems. And when you have that kind of a conflict, it kind of doesn't matter like that you have such a high advantage in the number of tanks, for example. Um, it and it and it kind of becomes like almost an equalizer to the conflict. Um, and I find that quite extraordinary because like traditional way of warfare thinking is like, yeah, like these guys has more equipment, these guys have more manpower, and you're fighting not a guerrilla war, right? This is not a guerrilla war. This is not like Afghanistan. This is not an insurgency. This is a you know frontal traditional war situation. But the employment of these robotic systems really changes things from the strategic level for these combatants.
There are so many exciting drone startups out there, and many of them based in America. Break down the KPIs, the things that we should actually be looking for when comparing drones or drone makers. Is a flight time? Is a payload? Is a computing power? Cost per unit? What in your mind are like the key metrics to look at?
I think with drone companies, it's really important to look at if their system can actually do the things that the developers even said they could do. That's like 101. It's really easy to claim really cool specs, but then to actually hit it and actually hit it in a environment that is relevant to the end operator is actually quite difficult. So I think what you should look for is, can they actually meet the claims that they say they're going to do, and have they actually done that? Have you actually done the things that you say? And do you have customers who said, yeah, like they did the things that they claimed they could do? Because when most customers are excited about buying drones, they are sold by what the drone claim could do. That is not the hard part. The hard part is delivering what you said it will do. And I think the best drone companies historically, when they're early, right? Of course, if you look at a drone company that's like super far in and they're already huge, okay, yeah, that makes sense. They're big, whatever. But then if you want to predict how a drone company is able to be successful, you look like, are they able to do the things that they claim they're able to do? And that's usually a really strong signal that like, okay, yeah, you got something good going on here.
Besides Flyby, is there any other drone maker that you've been impressed by? Besides DJI as well, I guess.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of really great people doing stuff in the drone space. I think Quantum Systems from Europe, they're really impressive. They built the world's best fixed wing drones. On the American side, Skydio has absolutely transformed drone as a first responder type missions. So basically sending drones to respond to police calls. They did that extremely well with their dock integration with the X10D. And for the FPV side, we have people like Nero's tackling a really difficult problem. Is like, how do we make these drones $2,000-$3,000 a pop with a non-Chinese supply chain. That is a really hard thing to do. For us, we're not trying to do that, right? Like making drones $2,000 to $3,000 a pop, it's not easy. Um, so these are all people who really care about the specific customers that they're serving. So in the case of Skydio, they're police DFR officers. In the case of Quantum, in the case of Neros, and I think those are all really impressive guys. They all do really hard things every single day.
It's been unfortunate that America has kind of stifled drone innovation for so long with the beyond visual line of sight rules, although I think that's either gone or changing. Besides maybe America and the obvious ones like Israel and Ukraine, is there any other country or region around the world that you think really gets the innovation happening in drones?
I think the Germans are doing a lot of good stuff. Yeah,
Interesting.
the Germans
Interesting.
are doing a
That's
lot of good
that's
stuff.
that's counterintuitive. I
Yeah.
guess people are hating on Germany these days. Maybe another question. I know you're working with Atomic Inc., Aaron's startup. You obviously have the partnership with Palantir. Based on what you see, based on your partnerships, are there any startups or companies that you'd go max long on, or you think are doing really great work?
Max Lawn. Oh, sick. Um, I think I'm really long on atomic. I think injection molding has been a art that we're losing in the United States for a really long time, and but yet it's extremely powerful. Like injection molding as a manufacturing method is an extremely powerful manufacturing method. So a lot of the work that they're doing of being able to do those molds in a less expensive way, in a more reliable way, are going to be one of the foundational building blocks of building anything in the United States of America. I think there are a lot of companies now that are doing really amazing things with autonomy that are really extremely exciting. And I think that the future of um, startups in the United States, it's going to be moving away from, like your traditional SaaS companies and more into being able to build in the physical world, being able to enable things in the physical world. And I think people are starting to realize that, hey, the physical world is a really big chunk of the US economy. And I think a lot of these startups are going to be the next 10 billion, $20 billion companies in the US.
People listening to this may have we did a big deep dive on drones a couple of months ago. What's the one thing that you would tell them that separates Flyby Robotics from all the others?
I think the main thing is we do a really painful work and we do it well and we go to work every day being really happy with the things that we do. And I think and it's like a team of people too, because I think it's really easy to give up when you're building in the drone space because the work is so hard and it's a naturally a really painful thing you have to do every single day. But we like that pain. We find that deeply, deeply satisfying. And I think that quality in our company is what is going to ends up one day, making us win. Because as you push the frontier of what you can do with drones, whether that's compute power, that's payload, that's flight time, et cetera, and stability and cost. As the more you push the frontier, the more difficult it gets, the more painful it gets. So you want a team with really high pain tolerance and embraces as the way and also have a culture that makes that a collaborative environment where people like doing that. Um, that's really key.
What's the internal motivation for Jason Liu waking up every day and chewing glass then? What's the thing that keeps you going?
I think one is seeing other people build stuff with our drones is really makes me really happy. Um, because when they build stuff, they like text us and they're super excited they got their thing to work, which is extremely rewarding. It's like, you know, you're enabling other people to do really cool stuff, which is a deeply rewarding thing. I mean, I bet that's a lot of the engineers in NVIDIA feel like, people getting their GPUs and building really cool stuff out of it. And I think the second one is there is um, because drones, the hitting high performance drones is a really hard thing to do. So when you do hit it, it's really rewarding. You can actually feel the improvement in the product when you're flying it with your hands on the control sticks. And it's almost like it's like taste, you like you taste one wine versus another wine. That's kind of the way I would describe the difference in flying a drone that has been more perfected and more refined. And of course, we are always chasing that. What is that? That peak refinement. And I think that's maybe not impossible to attain, but you do taste the improvement, and that is something that is intrinsically really rewarding as a drone builder.
Jason, as we gear towards closing here, paint us a vivid picture of how either everyday life or national security is going to change when Flyby becomes wildly successful.
I think number one is that you're going to see those drones everywhere in places that today you don't see them in. And the history of drones has been, because the system gets more capable, because the system gets more reliable, it gets introduced in more and more verticals and industries and use cases and applications. So what you will see is you're right now, most people go about their day not seeing a drone of our size. You see maybe like a small one, somebody's flying it for hobbying, but you will increasingly see them more on your everyday life. Right now, there's 400,000 registered commercial drones in the United States. That number is going to be exceeding in the millions as these drones are being deployed in more and more verticalized use cases. And we know that, and we know that future to be true. We've seen that happening with sectors and industries over and over and over again. So what we prioritize and what we build a product around is accelerate that innovation cycle. Because ultimately, the guy who with the idea of using the drone for a new use case, it's not going to be us. It's not going to be Flyby Robotics. It's going to be someone who works on a farm, somebody who works in an oil well, somebody who works at a sewage plant, somebody who works as a tinkerer on his ranch in Texas, which we have customers like that too. And enabling those people to do decentralized innovation and come up with these new verticals of using the technology and using it well and making a huge difference in their lives or for their company is why we built this product the way we build it.
Awesome. Jason, we like to finish the podcast with a quick game of overrated, underrated. So I'm going to name 12 drone or defense related technologies, and you can give me a quick one word, overrated, underrated, or properly rated. Good to go?
I think I don't like talking bad stuff about other companies, so I think I will say everything is good.
it's all good. They're just technologies, no companies involved. First one, swarms.
I think people have no idea how big swarms will be. It's going to be massive.
Edge AI.
We are still at the really beginning, both in terms of the processing power we're putting on these aircraft. So it's a starting point. It's like pre-iPhone on Edge AI with robotics and drones right now.
Electronic warfare.
I think with increase in Edge AI and the amount of attention paid on EW, I think EW will actually be less effective as a mean of countering drone threats.
Anti-drone lasers.
I think that is an area where, because EW is going down, solutions like anti-drone lasers is going to be going up in
rising in status, rising. As Tyler Cowan would say.
Yep.
Autonomy.
I think autonomy has been a buzzword in our industry for the past 5 years, but I think now we finally have the technologies and processing power provided by Flyby Robotics to actually do real autonomy worth calling it autonomy. Like, previous versions of autonomy aren't actually like autonomy, like it's not real autonomy. But now we're going to an age where real actual autonomy is possible. So it's an
Alternative
underdeveloped area.
propulsion.
Yeah.
Yeah, alternative propulsion systems like other than batteries.
Alternative propulsion system. So for at least in the world of quadcopters, propellers is the gold standard. There's not a whole lot you can do outside of propellers. In the long range strike and fixed wing drone area and hypersonic, supersonic area, there's a lot of things to be done on alternative propulsion.
Fixed wing drones.
I think fixed wing drones, they're really great, amazing things, but I do think they are a stopgap solution to what is fundamentally a battery problem. The only thing a fixed wing drone better than a quad right now, currently, is longer flight time. They're worse in every other aspect: reliability, cost, portability, and also flexibility. They're worse in all of those. But the only one thing they have going for it is they can double, triple a drone's flight time. But that's actually fundamentally, in my belief, a battery energy density issue.
Cheap expendable drones.
Cheap expendable drones. It's got to be just, the default warfare.
Loitering munitions. Yep.
I think cheap expendable drones and loitering munitions will slowly merge into just one thing. Just cheap expendable loitering munition drones.
Last one, subsea drones, underwater drones.
Underwater drones. I think the ocean is a unexplored frontier. So I think there is a lot of opportunities in subsea drones. However, there's also it's also a really difficult area to do things at scale in because of some of the technical challenges. I think with drones, you don't have the fun because we know China can make a lot of drones. The making a lot of drones, it's not a risky thing for flying. But making a lot of drones that can go underwater, it's still a unproven concept. But that is also areas for new entrepreneurs to crack open.
Shout out to Will and the Ulysses crew.
Oh, yeah.
Jason, thank you so much for your time. This has been fascinating. And you just have to promise me you will come out to Abu Dhabi with the F-11.
Oh, absolutely. We're probably going to have some oil and gas plans down there in a couple months.
Excellent. All the best. Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good night.